Today we're going to look at dashboards, which is a feature that's going to allow you to look at data on a much more broader level and hopefully provide a little bit more insight into that data for your athletes as well. And from there, help you kind of set a little bit more better targets, see trends and see how that athlete is doing in comparison to when they first started with you. So dashboards as a whole, you'll see it's quite empty at the moment. All I have to do is create a new one, which I've just done. I can then select an athlete and then I can then compare that athlete to a group and over a different time period. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a widget first of all. So widgets, we've actually added a couple of them in and we've split them into 3 different departments. So typically you're going to either want to monitor, profile, or compare progress for your athletes. So if we look at monitoring as the first one, you might want to monitor your athletes' trends and performance over time. And a really nice example of this is monitoring back squat strength over a season, we'll say, for some of your athletes. And you'll see there's a couple of widgets for that. If we look at profiling, you might want to profile your athletes' physical status based off their KPIs and or targets. And a really nice example of this is pre-season testing. So these widgets would be best used in that kind of case. And then lastly, you'll have is comparison. So being able to compare your athlete or one of your athletes to maybe the rest of the group in a given sport or class or whatever the case may be. The idea is to obviously highlight their performance and drive competition. And there's also a really, really nice one to have. First of all, we're going to actually start to create a dashboard for our athlete who is Sam. So first of all, we're going to pick a metric progression. I'm going to show you how it works. So anytime you pick a widget, in this case, you'll have a little kind of filter option, be able to select what you want to view for that particular widget. In Sam's case, we're going to look at his back squat performance. Particularly, we're going to look at his estimated 1RM. And we're going to chart that. So very easily, you can see it's charted over time. You can see all these lovely measurements for each one he's done. You'll also see his PB, and then you'll see a really nice infograph, which tells me very quickly how he's doing now in comparison to previous. So we're now looking at a 29% decline in his performance. And you'll see if I highlight, it's going to tell me the dates and how that's happened. Because again, this is looking at over a year period. From here, we're going to add in another one. So I'm going to add in a shoulder external rotation. And we're going to look at, again, his asymmetries between sides. So if I pop this in, it's going to expand right here. And what I can actually do is I can maneuver these so they don't take up abundance of screen, particularly widgets like this, which I won't need a lot of room for. But widgets like this, I might want to see a little bit of a bigger comparison. So again, very readily here, we can see each side for Sam, and we've got a lovely asymmetry percentage, which is really nice and really informative for us to be able to see how he's actually doing, as opposed to making maybe an educated guess. Off the back of this, we're now going to look at a target-based widget. So if I scroll down, we're going to select this one. And similar enough, we're going to look at a CMJ performance. Now we're going to set the target for 50 centimeters, and we're going to pull that up, and then we can shorten this as well. And this is really nice, just to be able to see how Sam is doing over the last year in comparison to that target that we've set him. So in this case, you can say he's got a target of 50 centimeters. He's reached 80% of it, so he's at 40.4 centimeters, so he's doing quite well. And as he gets closer, this bar chart's going to fill up and this percentage will obviously change as well. Next, we're going to look at his CMJ of his single leg comparison. So we're going to look slightly different, and we're going to look at this one here. So this is comparing to the group as a whole. So again, if I pull this up, we're looking at CMJ single leg, so left and right side, and in comparison to the groups itself. So what we've done here is you can see his left side and his right side, and you can see a performance improvement on those compared to the group themselves. So what we're doing is this 90% is comparing his score to the average of the group for both sides. So the average is 17.2. Sam's doing extremely well in comparison to the group you can see here. And then lastly, but not least, is we're going to look at his 10-5 test. So we're going to look at a bilateral target chart, which you can find right here. And if I pull this up, we can pull in his 10-5 tests, and we're going to set a target of 2 for this for Sam. And if I open this, you can see a gradual upwards trend. And if we actually swap this over to his best performance, you can see he's actually achieved that in this case. So you can see every day he's logged really similar to the one above. The only difference is we now have a target. So the target being this green line. If he was below this green line, he would obviously just be a grayer colour, indicating that he hasn't beaten it. You can see he's 109% on his 10-5 score, so he's doing really, really well on that, really springy. But we can, again, change that to a different. You can add multiple widgets to this as well, guys. There's a lot of flexibility. You can create multiple different dashboards as well. So you've got, again, a lot of flexibility throughout your database for, we'll say, different groups or different athletes, depending on the sports or teams you're working with. But it's a really nice functionality to have in your system to view data, get objective data very readily and very quickly, and be able to make those informative decisions for your athletes and how they're going to progress along in the future.